Marine Serre is not simply a designer. She is a catalyst for change, a trailblazer, paving the way towards a more responsible future for the world of fashion. Serre has captivated the world with her innovative approach and redefined what it means to be a fashion designer in the 21st century. From humble beginnings to claiming prestigious awards, graduating in 2016 to being named the logo of the year in 2020, the speed at which Serre rose to fame is remarkable. With her unwavering commitment to sustainability and cutting-edge aesthetics, she was bound to be successful. But how did it all happen so fast? And was she really an overnight phenomenon? Marine Serre was born on December 13th, 1991 in Corrèze, a small village in the south of France. Her family were farmers, but as Serre is quite a private person, that's all there is to share. Throughout her childhood, from the age of 3 up until she was 16, Serre played tennis 6 days a week at a very high level. She still pays homage to this time of her life now, as tennis references are made across her garments. Looking back, Serre explained how the sport gave her discipline, saying, "There's a certain repetitiveness in the discipline of sport, and a certain repetitiveness in the discipline of fashion. It taught her to be calm, focused, and to take action." Her father would always say, "Take one ball after the other. Focus on current collections and next steps rather than worrying about what you'll do for years to come." Her interest in fashion developed thanks to her grandfather, a collector and a second-hand dealer who taught Serre the value of vintage. This early interest laid the foundation for how Marine would go on to create clothes herself. But we'll come back to this. In 2009, Serre attended a special visual arts school in Marseille, a change from Paris, the usual epicenter of fashion, where many other designers studied. Serre felt this was too much of an obvious choice. After 2 years, in 2011, she was ready to move on. Central St. Martin's in London was the idyllic next step for her studies, but unable to afford it, she opted for Le Cambre Mode, Belgian fashion school design academy in Brussels. An eclectic, somewhat apocalyptic city, says Marine herself. As it's not a fashion capital, students learn to make different kinds of clothes to avoid what's trending, try new things, and find their own voice. Whilst here, Serre completed internships with Sarah Burton at Alexander McQueen, Raf Simons at Dior, and Mathieu Blazy at Maison Margiela. It was under Blazy that Serre discovered a work environment that she'd later go on to emulate in her own fashion house, saying, "It was very familiar. You knew the names of everyone. I could work closely with the manufacturers during the creation process, and I had the opportunity to fully understand how a garment is constructed." It was also during this time in 2013 that she met her boyfriend, Pepin van Eden, who worked for the European Green Party. In 2012, during her first year, she produced a collection called Accident Sculpture. The following year, Humans Matter. Her third, Unfinished State. Her fourth was called 15 to 21, as it merged the 15th and 21st century together. This collection was made using old blankets and tarps to make trench coats, something that's now common practice at Marine Serre, yet has always been the natural instinct for the designer who didn't grow up with a lot of money and instead learned to upcycle. After 5 years in 2016, Serre graduated with the highest honours at age 25. Her graduation show of her collection, Radical Call for Love, was a breakthrough moment for her career. It was a short essay published by her boyfriend. The clothes combine 19th century Arab luxurious garments, kaftan, karakou and sirwal, with corporate sportswear trends of the 90s and noughties. A video collection was created in collaboration with Pierre Deboucher. This was the start of her integration of short films in fashion. Guests at the show included many leading industry figures, such as Broken Arm, a designer boutique in Paris, ID magazine reporters, Glenn Martins from Diesel, Demna Gvasalia from Balenciaga, and H. Lorenzo, another curated boutique store, this time in LA. All eyes were on Marine Serre. Her success scored her a year-long junior designer position at Balenciaga, working with Demna Gvasalia as he repositioned the brand and launched icons like the Speed and Triple S sneakers. During her time here, she also worked on her own garments. Her graduate collection had piqued the interest of countless stores interested in buying her pieces. It was an overwhelming start, Everyone from Essence and Dover Street Market to Nordstrom and stores in China were trying to get their hands on Marine Serre. Meanwhile, Serre herself hadn't even figured out the prices yet. Regardless, she accepted every deal, including one from Parisian store A Broken Arm, who requested an exclusive small capsule collection for a window installation during Paris Fashion Week. Having the support of a well-established store caused the lot to sell out rapidly, and little by little they were building their brand. Serre, her boyfriend, now business partner Pepin, and her sister Marie. The three of them worked in the evenings and on weekends to produce the collections from her small studio apartment. Her boyfriend's background gave them a range of immediate skills required to cope with their sudden success, from budgeting to communication to organizational infrastructure and structured planning. Despite a skyrocketing start, Serre couldn't have predicted or expected who she'd catch the eye of next. None other than luxury conglomerate and key holder of opportunity, LVMH. She was headhunted fresh out of grad school and prompted to apply for their prize, a very well-known competition previously won by Jacques Mus, Comme Delaine, Casablanca, and Grace Wales Bonner, just to name a few. Serre recalls it was surreal to be on their radar, but only did a quick application because she didn't actually think she would ever win it. She applied using her grad collection Radical Call for Love, designed as a reference to the November 2015 attacks on Paris. It was cohesive, embodying a strong identity, vision, and carrying a bold story. Producing such meticulously curated work so fresh out of her studies was unheard of. And despite there being 1,200 applications, in 2017, Marine Serre became the youngest designer ever to take home the grand prize of €300,000, a life-changing sum for any designer at that stage of their career. The judging panel, which included Karl Lagerfeld, Phoebe Philo, Nicolas Ghesquière, and Marc Jacobs, had been drawn to Serre's athletic and futuristic style that featured her signature crescent moon print, a now widely recognized logo that just 3 years later was actually named Logo of the Year and Biggest Breakout Brand of 2020 by Lyst. The prize money and mentoring from LVMH enabled Marine Serre to fast-track their growth and build a team. During her debut fashion show in 2018, she was still working at Balenciaga and had a team of only 6 people. But just a year and a half later, Serre had moved from her tiny studio apartment to a larger home and a separate 1,300 square foot office with 20 staff, a feat that would have taken years without help. They also used the money to discover new methods of production, and they launched the Green Line. The Green Line was one of 4 collections comprised to make up the Marine Serre fashion house. Green is the eldest and one that she created for the most during her studies. It includes everything that's upcycled, not recycled or organic cotton. Instead, they use tons and tons of unwanted garments, unstitch them, and rework them to transform what's already there, and dead actually, and make something new with that, Marine describes. They regenerate dead stock, vintage, and end-of-life materials as an adaptable base for creating new products that are distinct from their former selves. This practice is fundamental to Serre's ethos, marking a radical commitment to circularity in the fashion industry. It's a practice of which she's a pioneer. Serre's mission is to produce practical clothes that you could wear every day. Pieces that last. One of which is the survival jacket that Serre created, with a special pocket designed to hold a bottle of water, and another for her tap card for whenever she takes the subway. The brand has relationships with manufacturers in Italy, Portugal, and France who valiantly support their goal and process of producing clothes. Around 50% of Marine Serre's collections follow the upcycling process, using vintage materials like denim, leather, bed covers, cushion covers, tea towels, and many more from mainly the 50s and 60s. She does this because she loves transforming items across generations. Pieces that inherently have no value, but still have a story or is familiar. For example, using forks as earrings, or even the keychain coat she created to replicate the garage she saw growing up. It's kind of like archaeology, she says, but you recognize an old thing in a new way. So that's the Green Line. The other 50% of her garments use sustainable fibers, biodegradable yarns, and recycled materials. Next up is the White Line. These are the foundational pieces of their brand. The iconic Marine Serre crescent moon print bodysuits, the leather pants, and t-shirts made from organic cotton and wool. The versatile daily garments made to be worn from dusk till dawn. Then they have the gold line. This is the place for Serre and her team to experiment and push the boundaries with fabrics, from moire silks to quilted leathers. The clothes are for runways, commercials, models, or just a higher end piece that requires an incredible amount of work. These garments use more technology and can be quite complex in terms of manufacturing. And lastly, most exclusively, we have the red line. The red line is the name given to the couture gowns, the one-off, unique artisanal crafts. Usually couture dresses are made using expensive material, and Marine Serre do play around with that, but they mainly create their looks using fabrics you can find in everyday life and upcycle them. They become couture because of their form, shape, and also the time and work that goes into producing them. However, Serre believes that you cannot only have a symbolic or political garment, it should too be practical. And so her couture pieces definitely reflect this. The brand also creates bags and jewellery. Their jewellery reflects their sustainable approach. It's made using exclusively vintage, dead stock and thrifted jewels, making each piece unique, just like their upcycled clothes. Ella put a poll on this in the Luxe Circle the other day, which, by the way, is where we have all our daily conversations with you guys in our community about all things luxury fashion. Anyway, we asked if your shopping habits changed based on the sustainability and durability offered by the brand. So if you want to join in the conversation next time, just subscribe to see our posts. When she started her brand, Serre was shy about doing things her own way. She has since changed the perception and ideas of preciseness by creating garments out of materials already assigned another meaning. In fact, her use of discarded fabrics perhaps launched the craze for making dead stock or vintage materials into something else, and her sales have blossomed. During the pandemic, Serre was regarded as something like a prophet. Since her official debut at Paris Fashion Week in 2018, she has repeatedly featured masks in her collections as a reference point to climate change and pollution, even partnering with an air filtration company to create technology, forward air purifying masks in 2019. Her work was apocalyptic before it became a daily reality in our world when the pandemic unfolded the following year. And whilst most luxury brands struggled during this time, Marine Serre was thriving. After 3 years of hypergrowth, they finished 2020 with over 10 million euros in annual turnover, a team of 60 people, and an 8,500 square foot studio in the heart of Paris. From this moment, Pepin stepped down as CEO, and Serre took the role as both creative director and CEO of her eponymous label. That summer, she won the top prize for the Andams Family Fund, taking home another cash prize of 200,000 euros. This money enabled her to invest in her online presence during the pandemic. She became a pioneer of digital shows, having released the first of their kind sci-fi fashion films. Her eye for visuals and storytelling is so strong. In September 2020, for her fall show, she created a collection called Mind Melange Motor that reached headlines due to its use of masks. Then for her Spring 21 collection in Feb 21, she released another short film called Amor Fati. It garnered attention, raised questions, and perfectly aligned with the mood of the world during these unprecedented events. It mused on the exceptional circumstances we found ourselves in, showcasing characters mutating and symbolic environments like laboratories, nature, and underwater scene. We also saw lasers etching Serre's signature moon motif directly onto bare humanoid bodies. This technique is one they use in real life to mark their denim. The film was called Amor Fati because it means love of fate. It's the idea that you see everything that's happening in your life, suffering and loss, as necessary and good. Serre had an excellent understanding of using content to entertain and engage her audience during COVID. In December 2021, she launched Core, a print project and digital short film gallery, a dedicated website to show the inner workings of the ateliers and snapshots of the personal lives of the wider Marine Serre family. The book outlines the materials and construction techniques, whilst the videos demonstrate their process. Making this series of short films allowed the viewer to be part of a journey. You see the factories, you hear the music, voices, the original audio, and are truly immersed among the artisans and their rituals. You get to witness the process of creating garments in a completely transparent way, a genius marketing strategy, and a great authentic way to entertain and occupy people that's never been done so organically before by a luxury house. That being said, Serre understands the benefits of an in-person show too. Less so for displaying clothes, more so because it's fascinating to see over 600 like-minded people pack into a 15-minute show and get the chance to meet up and talk. To get the benefit of the spectacle though, something radical must happen. I wonder what we'll see from her next. Like other brands though, her front row is often filled with celebrities, and we're not surprised. After Beyoncé wore the moon-printed bodysuit in the July 2020 Black is King film, alongside her matching crew of dancers, searches spiked 426%. And since, many other celebrities have been spotted in the brand. Ariana Grande, Adele, Dua Lipa, Selena Gomez, and Kylie Jenner. They've also had a range of successful collaborations with other brands, a partnership that allows Serre to share her vision with their teams and imprint her logo in new collections. She's worked with Gentle Monster, Nike, AWGE, Jimmy Choo, and A$AP Rocky. Thanks to the signature moon motif we keep referencing, the brand has become instantly recognizable and memorable. And luckily, they've reinforced it from day one. But why? Where did it come from? Wearing a logo gives people a feeling of belonging. It's a club, a religion, a shared ethos. The crescent moon was created for Marine's grad collection in reference to the 2015 terrorist attacks in Paris. It's one of the world's oldest symbols. Everyone's familiar with it, and it ultimately shows up every night in the sky. It doesn't belong to anyone, and the beauty of it is, it means something different to everyone. In mythology, it's very feminine. In Japan, it's a sailor moon. For Serre, it's a symbolic logo that carries the brand's values and stories. Sort of like a football shirt, it's equal parts an Islamic art reference and a modern sports logo. With these feelings and designs, Serre effortlessly blends sportswear with haute couture. She's blurred lines and from the outset had no intention of following others. Instead, fixated on her vision and used her intuition to stand out. Marine Serre has epitomized that sustainability can be cool, and her eco-futurism catapulted her from student life in Brussels to the epicenter of the fashion world faster than any designer before. From an outsider, it looks like an overnight success, but having spent 7 years studying, experimenting, and discovering her style, this was a long time coming. Marine Serre worked hard, sleeping for only 5 hours a night sometimes, creating a name for herself and a network in Paris despite having no presence there. Her steadfast commitment to sustainable practices is a beacon of hope for the fashion industry. It's a sign of a more conscious and compassionate future, and I'm sure we'll see Marine leading the way, one ball after another. Thank you very, very much for watching to the end of this video. The whole team actually really enjoyed researching Marine Serre on what she's done and kind of our predictions for what she's gonna bring in the future. It is all very exciting. If you wanna watch another video and learn about the luxury industry even more, I would definitely recommend clicking this video. If not, don't worry, and I'll see you in the next video.